that leads to the next question I wanted to ask was, over the amount of years and you've worked with those kinds of people and different productions, what have you seen a massive change in how the movies in Hong Kong are made? Because I would say as a fan, as a viewer, I would say since we came out of that mid-90s, we've seen them become a bit more, I don't know, inspired by Hollywood, I would imagine.
Okay. For the longest time, Hong Kong didn't have the money for special effects. So Jackie Chan would always joke, I am the special effect.
Yeah.
So there was always that, we only have the physical skills, so we have to make sure the physical action. So, and the problem is the market changed, not just in Hong Kong, but in the whole world. Okay, when I first arrived in Hong Kong, you could pre-sell a movie on the strength of a poster. Okay, do you know the movie The Avenging Quartet?
Oh, yes, I do actually have a very soft spot for it.
That movie was pre-sold on that poster.
Can we get that put out in Blu-ray?
Moon Lee, Cynthia Khan, Michiko,
what a poster!
All in leather, all on motorbikes.
Yeah. Cracker poster.
There's nothing like that in the movie, but that poster sold the movie.
Yeah.
Those were times where if you had certain people in your movie, guaranteed result. The Philippines, for instance, if you was trying to sell your movie to the Philippines, they would ask for your first reel, your third reel, your fifth reel, and your seventh reel, and they would time the action.
Wow. Okay.
And if there was enough action, they'd buy it. If there wasn't, they wouldn't.
Wow.
In the late 80s, early 90s, if Joey Wong Joey-in was in your movie, guaranteed sale to Korea. Hence, when I was working on Europe Raiders with Wong Gar-wei, one day we're talking and I say, Mr. Wong, in Ashes of Time, there's one shot that looks like it's Joey Wong, but she's not in the movie. Oh yeah, that's her.
That's right.
Because he was like, the pre-sale from Korea was like, if she's in the movie, we pay this.
Wow.
That's why there's a crazy movie called Eternal Fist with Cynthia
Khan. Yes, it's in my basket on Amazon.
As her market in Korea was so strong.
Yeah.
So if you watch that movie, there is Cynthia Khan, spoilers, plays two characters. She is the only Chinese character in the movie.
Wow.
It's never explained why she plays two identical characters.
It's just there.
If she's in the movie, we can get guaranteed sale to Korea. So the market's changed. There used to be that level of physicality. Like a lot of people invented all these stories. Oh, all these Korean actors vanished. No, they went back to Korea. What people forget is Hong Kong, because it was a British colony, by law, the movies had to be subtitled. So it immediately made them more accessible. Korea, you can make enough money in Korea that you didn't have to bother with subtitling or bother with international sales, which is why companies like IFD and Filmart will go, oh, we'll buy your movie, and then we'll play around with it and remarket it.
Yeah.
So the market changed. Like when I first came to Hong Kong, the Hong Kong movies dominated the box office.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I think 1994, Jurassic Park or whatever, suddenly it was like, oh, for the first time, a Hollywood movie has taken the thing. I think because for so long, Hong Kong was almost a perfect market.
Yeah.
Hong Kong became a victim of its own success.
Of course, yeah. Makes sense.
Because you used to be able to just go, oh, I've got Andy Lau in my movie, Tony Leung and Rosamund Kwan. Oh, I can guarantee 20 million at the box office. Okay, cool. Oh, I've got this person, that person. Okay. So I think a lot of Hong Kong talent burnt itself out.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand, in Hong Kong, there's no residuals. You get paid once.
Yep.
One of the funniest things often is when I do a SAG or an American contract for a movie for a Hong Kong actor, and you're trying to explain the terms, and you're explaining to them, oh, no, this means when it goes to Blu-ray, you will get paid extra. And every time it shows on TV, you'll get paid something. And they're like, ha, 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 very funny.
Yeah.
And then most they're like, mate, I got extra money. Oh my God. Because in Hong Kong,
they weren't used to it.
No. So I think the problem was Hong Kong kind of became a victim of its own success. And then the same thing, instead of going, this is what Hong Kong movies are known for. This is what we're special, we need to do. American movies started hiring Hong Kong talent. So there starts to be this weird crossover of this thing. And it's just...
Yes.
And the market's changed. Like people forget, okay, if you're making a movie just for a Hong Kong audience, maybe your budget is going to be £1 million. That's the most I can give you. If your movie is accessible to China, I can give you $100 million to make that movie.
Wow.
Because the box office is so huge.
Yeah. Much bigger.
So as much as people want to throw politics into it and everything, it's a commercial decision. It's not a political decision.
Totally. Yeah. But we're never, I mean, I think it's quite clear we're never going to see that era of Hong Kong that we fell in love with. That Hong Kong cinema.
Also because if you abuse kids the same way you'd go to prison nowadays.
Yeah, very true.
Because can you imagine if I said to you, "Hey George, can I take your son for the next 7 years?
Yeah.
Any money he earns will go to me. If he gets hurt or dies, it's not my business."
Yep.
And then every day I'm going to go, "Oh, hey man, I'm going to throw you off a building. I'm going to set fire to you. I'm going to punch you in the face."
Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is, the fans want it. Obviously, we dream about having that back. Of course, we do. We all dream of having that last Jackie Samo Yumbu film before it's too late, kind of thing. It's too late. You know, it's gone. But
it's like Van Damme announcing he's going to do this movie and I'm going to fight my villains from the past. I'm like, Polo is 74.
I heard about that. I was like, what's going
on here? Fight on the chess table.
But we want it. And that is just a nostalgic thing.
That sometimes that's, I've mentioned it before, sometimes when we're doing Blu-ray special features, etc. Sometimes one of the funniest things is people go, yeah, but that movie, Mike, I was 25. I don't want there to be an interview where I think I look good for 50.
Yeah.
But then the 25-year-old version of me is going to pop up and I'm going to go, I don't know that good.
Yeah. But it's also something I mentioned this in my last, one of my last videos, because God knows when this goes out, about how film has this cruel trick of creating a time capsule that we as viewers see these heroes of ours and as always for being that age that they are, you know, and that just kind of like is, I guess, the negative part of film, of the sad part of film, is that we're always going to look back on Wheels and Meals or whatever and say,
100%, like a prime example is there's an actress, Selena Jade, the daughter of the late Roy Haran from Snake and the Shows. I've known Selena since I came to Hong Kong. So in my brain, she's a 4-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like the other day, it was Chinese New Year before we recorded this, and an ex-girlfriend messaged me, and she made a joke about how she's now in her 40s, and I was like, "You're in your 40s?" Yeah. And she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh, actually, I'm not that much older than her, but I was 10 years older than her," and I'm like, if she's in the 40s, I'm in my 50s.
Yeah. Reality kicks in.
And like for me, especially, like I'm terrible that because I've been away from England for so long, some of my friends in my mind are still in their early 20s.
Right. Yeah.
So like there's a friend of mine in England, and I'd gone back one time, and we're sitting in the pub, and just as he's arriving, one of my friends goes, "Oh, just to let you know, he's lost all his hair." And he was the guy with the luxuriant hair when we were young. And they told me, and I was able to literally just go, "Okay." And then he walked in, I was like, "He's bald." And he was like, "You're bald." I went, "I shaved my head, dude." I was like, "I can still grow hair." But it was like, and it's that same thing that you go, there's a friend of mine, Felix Liu, who's a comic book art guy. And I remember he was getting married, and he told me he was getting married, and I was lecturing him about him being too young. And he was like, "Mate, I've been dating this girl for like 7 years. We have like a 4-year-old daughter." And he was like, "How old do you think I am?" I was like, "You're 21, right?" He's like, "No." Like, he was like, "I was 21 when I met you."
Oh, for goodness sake.
But in my brain, I was like, "Oh, he's 21."
That's hilarious.
So the same thing. Sammo Hung just had his 71st birthday.
Gosh. Wow.
Your Woping is 76. And it's that same thing. And you suddenly just realize, oh my God, that person is now that. Jackie Chan this year is 68 years old.
Jeez Louise. Wow. That's scary.
And people go, "Oh, he doesn't move as well as he did in Drunken Master 2."
This is what frustrates me. Yes.
I go,
Yeah.
yes, guys, because he's not 34.
But this is what I talk about it being like a trick. It's a trick, and a cruel trick that it makes us as fans and viewers, or not all of us, obviously, but a lot of people believe that they're still able to do what they did 30 years
the
ago.
funny thing of that is Jackie, one of my fondest memories of Jackie is from the making of Gorgeous. When they were filming the first fight scene between Brad Allen and Jackie Chan on the rooftop, I went to the set because Frankie Chan, who was helping direct, called me up. So I went there, and we're sitting there, and it was cold and it was rainy. And between takes, Brad was doing gymnastics to keep warm. And Jackie Chan sitting next to me, and I hear this voice go, "Look at him. He is so young. He is so fit. I was young once."
Oh.
And I'm like, what? Jackie was a whole like, he's a child. When I was young, now I am an old man. I cannot walk. I cannot kick, but everybody loves me. Yeah. And that's the problem that people forget.
Yeah.
That was 25 years ago. That was like you think about it, Drunken Master 2 was 28 years ago.
And we're still trying to figure out how to get a proper friggin' release, right?
Water Archive, guys.
Oh man, I mean that's insane. When you put it like that, that's just nuts. I mean, you weren't that long out there really when that was being made, right?
But I remember spending about 4 months on the set.
My God.
Like I used to walk up the hill to Golden Harvest Studios, wave at the security, they would let me in.
Yeah.
I would walk on set and I would just watch.
My God.
And I look back now and go, why wasn't I just recording everything and stealing everything that wasn't nailed down?
Yeah. I know, but what a privilege, and in terms of you've only got that in your memories. That's it. We don't have.
And it's the same thing that like there's a couple of interviews I've done where I look back and go, wow, that like I did an interview with Jackie Chan just before Rumble in the Bronx came out. And we did like a 4-hour interview. And there was no filter. Jackie, it was just me and Jackie and Mike Miller there taking pictures. Well, he was meant to take pictures, but he was just sitting there listening.
Yeah.
And Jackie was like, your photographer doesn't take many pictures. I was like, yeah, I know. But like that interview was completely Jackie Chan, unfiltered, talking about everything.
Wow.
And then after that, I was like, wow, things have changed. Like Jackie needs a filter sometimes.
Yes.
Because Jackie will say exactly what's on his mind.
Yeah.
So that's where sometimes Jackie will get in trouble because he'll just be like, no, I didn't like Battle of the Bone. I preferred the knackery.
Yeah. He fires it on out there, yeah.
Yeah. He won't go, oh, Battle of the Bone was an interesting style. He'll like, Battle of the Bone was stupid, but the knackery was fun. I like that. And they go, but the last light scared me. It made me put my pants, didn't want to see it. But
I wish.
The problem is, so the same thing, like sometimes when there's interviews I've done where you just go, wow, this person doesn't remember these things. Like there's an old kung fu actor called Li Sheng who's the bald girl.
Yeah.
So many movies in 36 Chamber, Project A, Llama Avenger.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Young Master.
I was shooting an interview with him for the Dragon Dysentery releases. And in between takes, we're changing the battery on the camera and we're talking, and I'm telling Li Sheng that one of my favorite roles of his is Enter the Fat Dragon, where he plays an African American.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I'm like, no, Enter the Fat Dragon, this movie, you play an African American. He's like, that'd be ridiculous. So I turn up my laptop and show him the footage. And he's literally going,
is he mortified?
That's me. And I'm playing an African American. And it was that terrible moment of realizing that for you, for me, Enter the Fat Dragon is this classic movie. That was 4 or 5 days' work for him 40 years ago.
Yeah.
That he may never have seen.
And you talked about that. Yeah, but you mentioned that in commentary recently, possibly Flag of Iron. From Idiot.
Oh, because he
talked about.
Well,
no, you'd actually talked about Chang-Chi's. These people were just walking in, and it was a couple of days' work or a day's work.
No, well, as I think, I remember interviewing One Long Way.
Johnny Wang Long Wei.
And we're talking about Five Deadly Venoms. I go, you're so cool in Five Deadly Venoms because you don't fight, and it's not what you're telling. He was like, oh no, I was being punished. He was like, that's why I didn't fight. Chang Chit was angry with me, so he wouldn't let me fight. That would be shit. And I was like, no, it's fantastic.
I really like the fact that he didn't fight in it.
Exactly. But to him, he was like, everyone else is fighting. I don't get to fight. I'm being punished. And it's that funny thing when you go, no. And the same thing, there's movies like that Jackie has done. Like he was not a big fan of Drunken Master 2 because he felt he didn't, like, he wasn't able to control it the way he wanted. Like, it shows how long ago I asked him about deleted scenes, and I go, oh, well, like, you know, now, like, on Laserdisc and everything, and they'll put deleted scenes and everything. And he's like, well, if I cut it, it's because it's no good. Why would I put it? If it was good, I left it in the movie. He's like, and he was like, why would you even think about that?
Yeah.
But but you sit there with Jackie and go, Jackie, let's talk about The Sound of Music. Oh, Sound of Music, like, that's a fucking fantastic movie. And him and Samo will regale you with stories of The Sound of Music and how it's the best movie because it's 2.5 hours long, and they used to be able to sit in the air-conditioned cinema for 2.5 hours. And, you know,
very good.
And like, you go, the same thing, that there's movies that they like there's a Jet Li movie called Dragon Fight that also sits in the Warner Brothers vault
with Choi Sing-chi.
Yeah, and it's Jet Li and Stephen Chow. When we were filming Fearless, we're all having dinner one night, and me and Jet Li start talking about Dragon Fight, and a whole bunch of the crew are like, wait a minute, Jet Li and Stephen Chow made a movie together in America? When? You know, and I'm like, oh, it's like 1988, 89. And everyone's like, huh? And then Jet Li went, oh, let me guess. Next you'll say, none of you know I ever directed a movie. Whole table goes quiet.
Are you serious?
And he's like, he's a foreigner. He knows more about this than you do. Because some of those movies, the Shaw Brothers movies, when I arrived in Hong Kong, I learned with a big shock that the Shaw Brothers movies had never been released in Hong Kong since they'd played at the cinema.
Shocking.
So imagine if Bruce Lee had died and those movies had never been released again. So people of a certain age are going, oh, there was this guy called Bruce Lee. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, who? Never heard of him. So Alexander Fusheng, in Hong Kong, there's 3 or 4 generations who have no idea who he is.
Wow.
Like, it's funny, I was watching something you'd recorded. You said how Legendary Weapons was your introduction to Fusheng.
Yeah.
Like him.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I go, when I was working with Shaws in the mid 90s, I was supposed to do with them what Celestial later did. And I think I rocked the boat because I said we should sell Fusheng as he's like the Jim Morrison of Hong Kong cinema. He's young, he's sexy, he's dead.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what? You know, because I was going, it's this crazy situation that, you know, it'd be like if you went, say George Best in Ireland, you know, if we went, oh yeah, George Best, there was a footballer in the 1970s. And then one day he stopped playing football and was never seen again. You know?
Yeah, it just says it.
So Hong Kong cinema was regarded as kind of disposable by a lot of people even in Hong Kong. Like when I first came, people like Andy Lau would be like, how have you seen this movie so many times? Because in their mind, you see it at the cinema.
Yeah, and that's gone.
Then you see it on video or Laserdisc. And then maybe a year or two later, it turns up on TV. They were like, what do you mean you have a copy of this at home?
Yeah.
Because in Hong Kong, when I ran, there was no collectible market. There was no sell-through. So, gosh, you know, so it was that bizarre thing that, you know, like I remember Andy Lau did one movie and they said it was his 100th movie. I was like, no, it's his 130th. And he was like, what? Yeah. And it was just that thing of him going, oh, really? Because some of these guys did so many movies they didn't know. In Taiwan, there was a great period where, imagine we're shooting the first fight in the Knackery. And we shoot it and then we go, yeah, Vincent, I don't like your clothes. We're going to change your costume. We change Vincent's costume. He comes back. We change the choreography.
Yeah.
Because we're now going to put that fight in a different movie. But it was like, that was how thing. That's why the funny thing is, in the 1970s, the Sorkinds did The Three Musketeers with Michael York, Oliver Reed, Richard Chamberlain. But basically, when they shot that movie, everyone was like, wow, but we're shooting so much stuff. The movie ended, and then a trailer came out and went, coming soon, The Four Musketeers. And there's a clause now in contracts called the Sorkind clause, which is in an American or British contract, you cannot turn a movie into a two-parter without telling people and paying them the thing. In Hong Kong or Taiwan, I've got footage of you. I can stick it into any movie I want.
So yes, as long as it's not under the contract of the UK and US.
Yeah. So the problem is there's this weird thing of like, and the same thing of certain movies that in Hong Kong were nothing that were huge hits internationally, like A Story of Ricky. Okay, before Story of Ricky came out, Fan Xiao Wong was being groomed as the next superstar.
Amazing.
And I remember being invited to dinner by his family, who wanted me to live with them and be Fan Xiao Wong's English teacher.
Wow.
And I was like, this is cool, blah, blah, blah. How much money are you going to pay me? Oh, we're going to give you room and board. I was like,
yeah.
Well, hang on, I need to get paid something. And then Story of Ricky came out, and that movie not only died, it killed Fan Xiao Wong's career for a long time. And people had two memories. They either didn't remember the movie, or they went, Story of Ricky, or the movie that destroyed Fan Xiao Wong's career.
Wow, that's crazy, isn't it?
Eastern Condors flopped in Hong Kong. Because Hong Kong people never went to war.
But they missed it, yeah.
I was like, but they all did Kung Fu all the time?
Yeah, well, that's true, yeah.
Because when I first came to Hong Kong, I just want to say that a couple of things. Okay, Better Tomorrow is a lie. You cannot walk around in a long trench coat in Hong Kong. It's too fucking hot.
It's too hot,
you will melt. I tried, okay? Secondly, there's not a lot of Kung Fu on the streets.
No, unfortunately.
I've been in Hong Kong 33 years and no one has ever come up to me and went, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
My Kung Fu is better than you.
How disappointing.
I know. I'm still hoping one day I'm like, it's finally happened.
Yeah. So listen, let me wrap this up with the question to kill all questions. What is your favorite Hong Kong movie?
My favorite Hong Kong movie.
I couldn't answer this. I really couldn't.
It changes from day to day.
Yeah, right?
There's a whole bunch that sit there in a constantly revolving thing of even with American movies, there's certain movies that I'll go. What I've found as I got older is I'll go through a phase of suddenly, okay, this is going to be my sleep movie. I'll put it on.
Yes.
And I'll start falling asleep, and then I'll have it on repeat, and I'll wake up and be like, watch a bit more of it, go back to sleep. Dragons Forever is rated up there.
Yeah.
Snake and the Eagle, Shadow and Drunken Master, Eastern Condors, Better Tomorrow, The Killer, Picking Opera Blues.
Oh, classic.
Armor of God. It's so hard because
it is, isn't it?
It's like the other day, me and Anna were talking about how many commentaries we've done. And I was like, yeah, we've done about this many. And I was like, no, we've done 70. I was like, we have?
Already? Wow.
I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, no, we haven't. And then he was like, we don't do it. And I was like, oh, yeah. It's very hard because even as with international movies, there's certain movies, like say Singing in the Rain. I love that movie. And sometimes I'll be like, I'm in Singing in the Rain mood.
Yes,
and that'll be popping up every couple of days on my playlist.
Yeah.
The same with music. Like I always used to make fun, like Mike Miller was the master of, he would buy a CD because of one song.
Yes.
And he would just play it on repeat. And Mike can fall asleep with the music playing at the highest level, And so like, I occasionally would have to go in and break the CD. I'm sorry. Or at least press skip.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, oh my God, what a great song. What's that? I'm like, that's song number 2.
Yeah.
Because he would be like, oh, I bought it for George Clark singing My Heart Will Go On.
Yeah.
And I'd be like,
the only one
what's
song.
That? Like, that's George Clark singing another song. It's a George Clark album. There's multiple songs on there. Because also, what exactly is a Hong Kong movie? Do you start going, is Bloodsport a Hong Kong movie? it's
I suppose when you break it down.
And there's some movies that I love for the action. There's some movies I love as a whole. Like there's a movie called Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Oh, I
which
still
I
want to get
absolutely
that.
love.
Yeah.
With Tony Leung, with both Tony Leung and Lawrence Cheng, and it just always reminds me of living in a flat with Mike Miller and my other flatmate Andy Cheng. Not the Andy Cheng, the fight choreographer, another guy called Andy Cheng. Because even Andy Cheng, the fight choreographer, was like, "Mike, did we live together?" I was like, "No, it's another Andy." Because he was like, I was reading your thing going, I remember being in Mike's house in Cameron City, but I don't remember living there. I was like, no, it was the other Andy who looked like an assassin. Oh yeah. but so it's very hard, and like there's certain movies that I've rediscovered. Like there's some movies that before I was not a big fan of, and now I'm intelligent enough to understand it. Or there's a movie called Love in the City, directed by Jeff Lau with Leon Lai and Wu Sin Lin.
Oh,
I hadn't seen it in 25 years. And about a month and a half ago, I picked it up on LD for the princely sum of 50p. And I went home and was like, this movie is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And also, it's a movie that hits a time because a big plot point in the movie is people leaving pager messages for each other.
Oh, yeah.
And it says, I remember the excitement of, I had my first pager.
Yeah.
And my mum was like, are you a drug dealer? Why do you have a pager? And it's like trying to explain, like, say, to Anna, who came to Hong Kong, 20 years later. No, Anna, there was a time where I would call you and leave a message, I am at the post office.
Yeah.
And then you would go, which post office? Oh, the post office. And I go, but now, of course, we're all used to instantaneous communication.
Yeah, of course. So it was very slow texting. Yeah.
Yeah, so like revisit, and one of the good things for the audio countries is there's some movies that I get to revisit and rediscover. And it's amazing how sometimes there's some movies now I go, oh my God, I know so many people from that movie. Or
so for you, it would be a very nostalgic thing in terms of
like
your memories.
Skinny Tiger, Fatty Dragon was the first Hong Kong movie I saw in Hong Kong.
Oh, right. Okay. Wow.
And I saw that on my second night in Hong Kong.
Very good.
And I met Donnie Yen, John Savetti, Michael Woods.
Wow.
And so I was like, this is Hong Kong. This is awesome.
Yeah. And what a movie to see. Like,
it's very, and it's that same thing. If you just go, and then there's other movies like, say, Legacy of Rage. Legacy of Rage I love. And I thought I knew a lot about that movie. I briefly dated one of the main actress, Regina.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And then I did the audio commentary with Ronnie, and Ronnie was filling me in all this extra information about it. Then there's other movies like Fearless. Fearless was probably the greatest experience I've ever had on a movie. I spent a year and a half plus on that movie.
It's an incredible show.
Production, through post. And same thing. I was going. So there's some movies that I've worked on that I can watch a movie and I'm going, I remember that day George punched someone, or this happened, and and then other stuff I'm like, oh my God, that guy was there. Or like there's a movie called Runaway Blues with Andy Lau.
Yes, I've got
and Calvin Wong. Calvin Wong was one of my first friends in Hong Kong who sadly passed away.
That's right.
And that movie I was a fan of in England. And then when I met Calvin, I was like, oh my God, you're from this movie Runaway Blues. And he was like, what are you talking about? Who is running away? And I'm like, and then he was like, oh, that's the English name, and things like that. So it's very hard. Like if you ask me today, I'd probably say Armor of God's my favorite movie, or Dragon's Forever. Dragon's Forever is probably very highly up there because it's just.
I suppose it would have been
Dragon's Forever is
best to say what's the movie that's kind of in your player most, or like that you would.
The Knackery. The Knackery is in my player all time. And I rest my case, entertaining as fuck. It's that weird thing of certain movies just striking a chord with you or with the audience. But no, it's
Thank you very much for joining me on this first episode of Untold Stories. It was nice looking back. Yeah, well, hopefully not the last. No. Yes, the Invincible Asia channel is.
I want an Invincible Asia t-shirt.
I will get you an Invincible Asia t-shirt.
Giant, triple extra large size.
I will start stitching
and
something together.
And some wagon wheels. And a selection of Twiglets and Lucasades.
I can arrange your payment as soon as possible. But yes, thank you very much for joining me. It was fun to look back on things and to hear your untold stories to me. Of
many more.
Many more. I know we could have a few chapters coming out of this.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you didn't sign a contract that said I can't make a sequel from this episode. So
no, you can make 1,000 1 second. Just people go, what the hell is my
Put it together, one word. Yeah. Okay. But yes, thank you very much. As always, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for 15 years of friendship, all the support. Great to see the support you genuinely give to the genre from Hong Kong and martial arts and action movies from around the world, and also to the labels. I mean, as much as we think, what amazes me is that I get people messaging me complaining that they want all these movies to be released on Blu-ray, and then when they do, they upload them to their YouTube channel as HD. I'm like, really?
Bad move. Yeah.
Support physical media.
Yeah, exactly. You see my collection.
And then you get posted by Kung Fu Bob.
Yes, exactly.
Support Kung Fu Bob.
Oh,
one day he'll be able to be called Kung Fu Robert.
Yes, I know. You can't. I can't actually say his name without putting the words Kung Fu in front of it, can you?
No, exactly. If he called me up and went, "Hey, Mike, it's Bob," I'd be like, "Bob who?"
Bob who? Yeah.
Like the time RZA called me, and RZA called me up, I was like, "Yo, Mike, it's Bobby Digital." I was like, "Who?" He went, "Robert Diggs." I went, "Who?" He went, "RZA." "Oh, hey man, what's up?"
We all get so used to it, don't we? But yes, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and look forward to getting some good feedback on this.
Thank you very much, and Twiglets.